Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to a new edition of Urban Sentinel Live. And I'm your host, Reggie Kearney, and I just want to welcome you to my show tonight. Me again. Probably later on in the year, February, we'll start bringing guests back on, but been kind of fun, just sitting here chopping with you guys in my crooked glasses or my crooked head. One of the two things are crooked, I don't know. But just want to have a good time tonight. Excuse me for a minute. Gotta get some lighting in here. Forgot all about my light. When you're one man show, you got to do everything. I can't afford anybody to come by and do my lighting for me, so I got to do it all myself. So I hope everybody's doing well. Hope y'all enjoyed the start of the primaries yesterday with New Hampshire, which was lots of fun and games to see how the Republicans are acting and everything. Like a bunch of lost children out there, but that is what it is. So yeah, very interesting what was going on yesterday and listening to that speech last night. But we'll get to that. Let me just start off with my football first. I am in the Maryland area. The plate of Maryland to be exact, 25 miles south of Washington, D.C. So I am a Marylander, and I'm going to be rooting for the Baltimore Ravens this weekend to beat Kansas City. Kansas City is a pretty good team, but it's time for somebody else to take over the stage and time for Mahomes to go home and sit and relax. So the quarterback for the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, is playing very well right now, and Baltimore is playing well too. And they have escaped having a lot of injuries this year, so that's a good thing. So I look forward to them. I look forward to them winning the Super Bowl. So hopefully this weekend they'll be able to get through and come out on top with playing Kansas City. The Lakers keep playing like they're playing, and our local NBA team, the Washington Wizards, I think the guys are just trying to get paychecks the rest of the year. Read where Michigan's coach Harbaugh, he's going to the Chargers, so opportunity abounds there for him. Money too, so because they're always paying these guys the big bucks to jump ship. I'm pretty sure he's going to have to pay Michigan some money back, but hey, that's the nature of the beast. So I think everything, sports-wise is going good. Baseball will be around pretty soon for you baseball lovers. I know I was looking at the news the other night, sports, and the Nationals, Washington Nationals, have taken all the equipment to Florida. And I believe the pitchers and catchers show up on February the 14th. So, hey, we go from season. You can tell the change of the seasons by the change of the sports that are played at that particular time of year, So, hey, it's all about sports. All about sports. Now, let's get into politics for a little while. New Hampshire. Well, we all kind of knew what the outcome of that the race in New Hampshire was going to be, and definitely, it played out that way. I think one of the biggest takeaways from that is the fact that the guy, I think he's 45, he definitely controls the Republican Party. Okay. A man with 91 indictments, been sued and uh, in the courts and has been labeled as a rapist. Has had many other women come out and say he's assaulted them. Uh, Being sued by the state of New York and probably going to lose a lot of money in his ability to do business in New York, state of New York. And probably the list goes on and on. It's probably stuff we don't even know about that's hidden in the closet. Him being responsible for the insurrection that took place in D.C. and for taking home all the classified documents that he took home with him when he moved from the White House to the outhouse down in Florida. So dude got a lot of baggage with him, but his people followed him. And so there was a lot of kissing of the ring last night and over the weekend. It amazes me how people of color get so drawn up in these situations that they kiss the ring. Now, let me say that your vote and your decisions that you make are your own. Okay? Excuse me. Yeah, your vote and who you support, that's your decision. I just encourage everybody to go out and vote, regardless of how they vote. But Tim Scott last night, mm, 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 mm. Just shaking my head for him to drink some of the Kool-Aid last night. And what he didn't finish, that 45 guy dumped on his head. It was it wasn't mind-boggling because that's what he said and what he did over the weekend and his endorsement of the 45 and his comments that he made last night kind of led me to believe, hey, it is what it is, okay? Sometimes you have people who want to move from the, want to move into the big house, okay? And looking for opportunity, and they will sell their soul to the devil to get opportunity, okay? And like I said, I don't care who he supports, it's just that, as a person of color, you would think that after all that 45 has portrayed and his people have portrayed, and he's shown his true colors that he is racist by his actions. When he dealt with the incident that took place in Charlottesville, and how he, went after the Central Park 5 or 8, I believe. I get the number. I always get that number mixed up, but the group of young men that were accused of raping a person, and he called for the death penalty. The lawsuits that have taken place in the past for him, the way he managed his apartments in New York as a landlord and how he discriminated against blacks. The list could go on and on and on and on. Okay? It could. But it just shows how sometimes we let our guard down. Well, I don't know if Tim Scott even had his guard up. It's just how you just go after it.
Yeah, did he have his guard up and everything? That's
He
what I was
didn't have
wondering.
he
Because I
didn't
was
have to.
watching the show and I was
Mhm.
watching the long rambling speech. I don't know why I made the mistake of watching that long rambling speech, but he was rambling. He asked Scott to come
Mhm.
up and kiss his ring a couple of times. So I guess he was being crowned the new emperor and all along those lines. And he asked Vivek to come up there and kiss his ring, and they all did it. So I guess they're all trying to act like he is the greatest thing since sliced bread and everything along those lines. But they went
Well,
there.
I think he kissed his ring and kissed something else too. It was the ring on the hand and the back end too. He kissed that too. But
He might have, because they were
yeah,
all excited the fact that Tim Scott got married too. So there was a lot of news
well,
about him
he's
getting
getting married.
engaged.
Okay,
Yeah,
he's getting married. But if you look at the picture of him and his fiance, she doesn't look like she happy.
she doesn't look too happy to you.
No, somewhere that whole thing is a setup, and I'm tell you why. I was reading an article and it was talking about how there have only been very few men in the White House or have worked in the White House that haven't been married. Okay, And with the vice president, it was only two men, I believe, that never married. Okay. One president, I believe, got married while he was in. Well, no, one of the vice presidents. It was maybe been three, but one of them did get married while they were in the White House. Vice versa, or president, one of the two positions. But they don't like, society. They say that society prefers a married man in those positions. Excuse me. So I know that little Tim is itching to be vice president, and the orange man is thinking that if he puts a minority on his ticket, somebody can offset Kamala, but also garner him more votes in the black community. It might be a win-win. Now, I heard from some of my sources that it's either going to be Scott or either Ben Carson. But the person I was talking to, he said that he was leaning more towards Ben Carson. But at the
Ben
same
Carson
time,
might get him.
huh?
Ben Carson might give him some more of that intellectual, but Ben Carson's also the one that recently said that racism is a thing of the past, and I guess
Yeah.
that's his way of kind of going and getting Trump some endorsements and all along those lines. So it'll be interesting. I did see something in the news that folks might be glad of. I don't know that Mr. Trump's going to be glad of it, but it does look like a couple of the Proud Boy members have been, or a Proud Boys member has been sentenced to 6 year in prison for a Capitol riot role after berating the judge. So
Mm-hmm.
they did get one of them, a man who stormed the U.S. Capitol with fellow Proud Boy extremist group members, was sentenced on Wednesday, that would be today, to 6 years in prison after he berated and insulted the judge who punished him. So he's actually got his name spelled the way that I do mine, with a C, and I'm not sure how I feel about that, because I like having a C and everything. But Mark Brew repeatedly interrupted Chief Judge James Fosterberg before he handed down the sentence, calling him a clown and a fraud presiding over a kangaroo court. And the judge warned Brew that he could be kicked out of the courtroom if he continued to disrupt the proceedings. You can give me 100 years and I'd do it all over again, said Brew, who was handcuffed and shackled. That's the definition of no remorse in my book, according to the judge. And prosecutors described Brew as one of the least remorseful rioters who assaulted the Capitol on January 6, 2021. So they say that he planned, this Brew guy did, for an armed insurrection, a January 6 2.0 attack to take over the government in Portland, Oregon, several weeks after the deadly riot in Washington, D.C. So he wanted to repeat, apparently, of January 6th there in Oregon. So apparently he's liking to do riots and all this other crazy stuff.
Oh, yeah. But this is the thing. After Big Bubba get a hold of him in prison, he'll sing a different song. He'll wish he wasn't up in prison with Big Bubba.
Yeah,
Big Bubba get a hold of him.
Yeah, Big Bugger will go get him and everything. You were talking about something earlier, and I was just curious your thought about it, because I was watching something else online, and they were talking about how some of these people that are going after some of the brothers and the sisters and everything, and they're wondering if it is because of love or because of other interests. So there were some articles I was seeing, and it might have even been on Instagram, where people were picking on Raven Simone, because Raven Simone's partner is a European American as well. And I guess they were wondering whether she had spiked her juice and got her to go down the marriage aisle, or whether they were truly in love and all along those lines. And I don't know enough about Raven Simone other than she was on the Cosby Show. Well, I definitely don't know enough about this young lady that she is dating.
Well, look, let me just tell you how I feel.
Or married.
I really don't give a crap. I mean, I'm like this. As long as you, as a person, as long as you all treat each other good, I don't care. Okay. I don't care now. Hey.
Hey, apparently other people don't care either, because on June 16th, 2020, Raven Simone and Miranda Pyramid Madej, they tied the knot at a small ceremony in the front garden of actress Debbie Allen's home in Los Angeles, and officiated by their friend Erica Summers. And I know my own dad has officiated some events. I think he only officiated one. He might have officiated more than that and everything, but he definitely officiated, because sometimes you just got to get the officiant license. You don't have to even be an ordained minister, depending on the state and how the states handle it and all along those lines. And sometimes you just want somebody to help you approve or have the state's approval of the union, whether it's a LGBT union or another union as well.
Because my niece, she got married in D.C. She wanted to get married in D.C. outside some park
Mm-hmm.
in D.C. And one of her, see, D.C. allows it, anyone to. You don't have to be, a minister or a pastor
Right.
to marry them. Just you get a, 1 day license to do
Right.
it, and that's who did her wedding. A lot of people, there's a lot of these. I'm thinking about starting me one of these certificate farms. I mean, people paying for those certificates to have them be ordained and honorary degrees and everything. I might well charge me $29.99, $29.95 to get some of that money because people out there doing it. And like I said, in a lot of states, like you said, cities and states,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's legal to do it. You
Yeah,
just
legal as it can be, and all
yeah.
one of us like it can definitely be legal. You talk sports, and we can definitely get back to the politics. 'Cause I was definitely, I don't know why I watched that rambling speech because it was one
Hmm.
of the most rambling speeches I've ever seen. But I did see something because I told you, and I've told other people on this network that even though we have definitely lost touch and do not keep in touch, even though I keep touch with some of his some fellow friends of ours and all
Hmm.
in that space. But I did know in college Doc Rivers, and it seems like Doc Rivers is being uh,
Oh yeah.
courted and will be taking the job as the Milwaukee Bucks
McBoss.
coach.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. I read that today. This is my whole thing. And if I was Doc, I probably wouldn't go back in there. I mean, because you got the easy life as a analyst, and you make
Mhm.
pretty good money, and you don't have the headaches. You just got to travel from city to city, just like you were doing as a coach for basketball games. But this is my thing: why did they get Doc in the beginning? Now, I thought Doc was going to end up in Milwaukee in the beginning.
I mean, he's got ties to Milwaukee. Like I said, Marquette, our
Yeah, you know.
the school that we both went to. He was there as a basketball player. I was there as a
Hmm.
student and a journalism major. That is there in Milwaukee. I think they still got his jersey up there in the rafters, and he definitely was there for his tenure at Marquette. So he definitely will be going back home in that sense, even though he's originally from Maywood, Illinois, if I'm
Hmm.
remembering correctly, and all in that space. But definitely it'll be interesting to see if he'll be coming back to the home area to some degree, and sometimes that can be
Hmm.
some good home cooking. I mean, the team isn't doing bad. I mean, they're not
Right.
doing as well as people would like them to do, but a lot of times people are disappointed and want folks to do better than they are promised that they're going to do.
Hmm. Well, this is the thing. They're looking at statistics. Okay, yeah, they fall. They went from number 3 as far as defense
Mm-hmm.
was concerned down to number 22, and a couple other things they fell down to the bottom. But this is the thing. They only lost 13 games. Okay, it's still time in the season is correct. The guy was doing something right. The players were doing something right. They only lost 13 games. They're only number 3 in the East, and they're not that far out of first place. Maybe 2 games out of first place.
Exactly.
I don't get it. But this is the thing. Milwaukee got to pay that brother his money. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
if he got 4 year contract, then they owe him 4 years of money. Then they might have a clause had a clause in there where it be spread out, but they owe the boy some money. Okay.
They're gonna definitely owe him some money, but
Hmm.
and there's a lot of talk about another team that I love, and they did not make any playoff runs. Matter of fact, they kind of choked toward the end of the year and everything. But a lot of people are having questions about my beloved Minnesota Vikings and whether they can afford Kirk Cousins and whether they can even afford Justin Jefferson. And definitely, I'm not ready for a rebuild, but who knows? They might have to do a rebuild,
Well,
particularly with Detroit and the other teams that are doing well, including Green Bay in that area. But yeah.
franchise tag. They can tag one of them.
Yep. They can
You
tag
know,
one of them,
they
give them that.
they said that maybe Washington should go after Cousins and bring him back to Washington.
Hmm. Y'all want to bring him back and everything? Maybe y'all will bring
Nope.
him back. But
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Justin Jefferson was not too pleased with a sign that was out there because apparently one of the players, I think it's one of the players that is still in the playoffs, and all
Mhm.
along those lines, it might even be one of those, and I forget which team he plays for, but he is known for targeting the legs and all along those lines, and it might
Mhm.
be the Detroit Lions, but they were not too thrilled because some of the fans were talking about how they had gotten the leg of I think it's Tyler Higsby and also the leg of one of the other players that were there and have gotten
Mhm.
them elsewhere because apparently the Detroit coach had talked about how they would, you got them, they would strike back to use that kind of revenge talk. And
Mhm.
yeah, Justin wasn't too pleased with that sign that the fans were putting out there because it was basically
Well,
implying that that shot had been illegal and a targeted shot. And it, I won't say it ended their careers because they might be able to bounce back, both of those
mhm.
football players, but it definitely hampered their season this particular year.
Well, like I said, I don't like Detroit, and I don't see them going anywhere. I think Detroit has gotten lucky in the last 5 or 6 games. Okay, I think the last 2 games they definitely shouldn't have won, but the opposing team didn't execute like they needed to execute. And I see them. I don't see them beating. They ain't. They're not gonna beat San Francisco. Okay, that's just the bottom line of it. Okay, San Francisco has a great running game, great defense, and everything. They got what they need to go to the Super Bowl. Now, I don't think San Francisco's going to win the Super Bowl. I just think right now, uh, unless they get really beat up Sunday, and hopefully they'll beat Kansas City, the Ravens are sitting on top of the world right now.
Oh yeah, the Ravens look strong and definitely look
Yeah.
like they're the team to beat and everything. Coming back to politics, I was seeing that it looks very troublesome. Some of these things that are going on in different states and different countries, and well, not countries, but different states and different regions. Because apparently in Tennessee, and this just came out earlier today, nearly 500,000 people, that would be 500,000, will be barred from voting in the upcoming presidential elections, with no new rules making reinstatement of electoral rights even harder. So certain felons will now find it harder to restore their voting rights. Those convicted of certain felony crimes in Tennessee tried in any U.S. state have previously been able to vote only if they have been pardoned or had their voting rights restored. But felons convicted of extremely serious crimes, such as first degree murder, may or may not have voting rights restored, depending on the year in which the conviction took place, according to the Tennessee Secretary of State. So, a 2022 estimate by the Sentencing Project, a criminal justice nonprofit, puts the percentage of voting age people who are unable to vote due to a felony conviction at 9%, or approximately 471,000 people. So the change is likely to disproportionately, hey, are you ready for this shocker, affect Black and Latino people. Tennessee denies voting rights to 21% of Black voting age citizens and 8% of Latino voting age citizens due to citizen involvement. So the rate of disenfranchisement for Black Tennesseans is nearly 4 times the national average for African Americans, the Sentinel Project previously reported. So, under the Tennessee Constitution, a condition of citizenship is the right to bear firearms, but felons, once they have finished their sentences in Tennessee and elsewhere, are prohibited from purchasing, storing, or carrying guns. So it does look like there might be some things going on, and that's in Tennessee. But I just wanted your thoughts when they're saying that they may be blocking half a million people from voting in the
Well,
2024 election.
the reason they're doing this in the last election, presidential election, I worked on a steering committee with my fraternity,
Mhm.
where we were working in a project in Florida to make sure that we got the vote out in Florida
Right.
for Biden, so Biden could take Florida. One of the things that happened in Florida, and they were controlled by Republicans then. Years before that, they had decided, okay, that they were going to allow people who had served their time, regardless of the crime, to come back out and vote.
Mhm.
Okay, reestablish their voting rights. Again, when they found that that number was anywhere between 500 and 700,000 people of color that would vote Democrat, oh, they said, oh no, this ain't gonna happen. What they did, they said, in order to regain your vote, first you got to make sure you paid all your restitution.
Right.
And a lot of times, that a lot of these guys that come out, they don't have jobs. They go in there, they go in there on a murder case, and they might have to pay the family $150,000 restitution or a little
Mhm.
more for whatever reason. And they come out, they don't have a job, they got to work, and for a lot of them, they'll die trying to pay off that restitution.
Oh yeah.
So that was a slick way of them saying, to keep a lot of these guys from voting and cut the numbers down, because most of them don't have funds readily available to go out and do that. Okay, so that slashed into that number, in Florida because the whole idea was to make sure that Republican would carry that state and continue the Republicans continue to do business down there because they know that people of color tend to vote uh,
Democratic.
Democrat. So I'm not surprised that Tennessee has come out and done that because they've looked at the numbers. I mean, they've crunched the numbers. You put 500,000 votes out there, that's going to really upset the apple cart and put us out of business, or pretty close to putting you out of business. Okay,
Yeah.
so they don't want that. That's one of the sticking issues. And they don't say it. They did say used to talk about it all the time that they used to call it replacement theory. That the reason Biden and Democrats are so anxious to let um, illegal immigrants in so they could get them to vote and to change the political landscape.
Mhm.
Now, I don't agree with that. I think immigrants they come in and first of all illegal. They need to work their way into the system to be able to vote. Okay, they definitely need to do that. Now, I think College Park, Maryland. I believe it's College Park, Maryland. Folks, look it up on Google just to make sure
Mhm.
that I have it right. Now, one of the little small cities around DC, it was College Park or one of the other little small cities. They passed a bill where um, illegal immigrants can vote if they have certain papers and stuff that they have completed if they're on the road to citizenship. I don't like that. I really think there's got to be some type of process in place to get people there to allow them to vote. And if they do everything they're supposed to do and become citizens, then yeah, they have the right to vote. But just to bring them in, because you're a sanctuary city and say, okay, they can vote in the local election. That's the only one they can vote. The elections they can vote in is the local election of that particular city. They can't vote statewide or anything like that. I don't know,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, you got a point there, but even with that, you got some people that were upset at Texas and apparently the Supreme Court, including a couple of conservatives that came over and voted with the liberals that said that Texas had to the federal officers could take down some of the wire that they were putting up, and that they were having a little bit of a conflict between the state of Texas and the federal government. But they had lost that particular decision because you got folks that want to keep immigrants out, and I think they were trying to do it there in Texas and was trying to be maybe proactive. But yeah, the
Mhm.
federal government, and particularly the Supreme Court, voted against that and all along those lines. But I did
Yeah.
see something else that was fascinating that you might be interested in because a lot of times I know you talked about it here on this show and definitely on other shows on the network, this notion of taxing the rich. And we do know that Vermont, because that's where Bernie Sanders is from, is a very little liberal and everything. And they've added new taxes that would target their wealthiest residents, aiming to tackle growing income inequality and to ensure that the rich are paying their fair share. So lawmakers in that state this week introduced a pair of bills that would add two new wealth taxes. The first would impose a 3% tax on individuals with an adjusted gross income of more than $500,000. And the second would add a tax on capital gains on assets above $10 million. So Vermont isn't the first state to propose wealth taxes, with 8 states last year proposing adding levies on the rich with the goal of raising billions to fund social programs. And there's also been a push on the national front from people like Joe Biden and Senator Elizabeth Warren to create a federal wealth tax. So I'm just wondering. I mean, I ain't got that kind of money, so I ain't got to worry about it because I'm nowhere near that. But what is your thoughts around us maybe taxing the wealthy a little more than they are currently being taxed?
I think they need to pay their fair share of taxes. Okay. Because one thing 45 did, and that Republican when he did have the Republican uh, votes, they put in a lot of loopholes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you talking about? eh, I think Trump one year maybe paid like 90 some dollars in taxes, federal taxes,
Well,
because of loopholes. I mean, the wealthy use that loophole. Okay, now I understand that the whole deal is that hey, you worked hard, you established something, you did something. Okay, you need to keep your money, and then the first thing they say, well, if you start taxing the wealthy too much, guys like Bezos, they'll start laying off at Amazon and stuff like that. Amazon does not pay their fair share of taxes. Okay,
Mm-mm.
they pay some taxes based on what the product line is or whatever. But overall taxes on the company, they do not pay that much tax.
Right.
Okay, so they get away with it. So now, I'll be honest with you. I don't like the idea of redistributing wealth. Okay, because if I wake up every morning and I come up with an idea to bust my butt and it earns me $1 million, then that's my money. Okay, you shouldn't take my money and say, okay, Reggie, you keep 500,000, but we're gonna take 500,000. We're gonna redistribute it in your community to those that don't have.
Right.
But those that don't have need to wake up and come up with some ideas and go out and make $1 million just like I did. I just don't. I think that's the. But you have over in Europe, you have European countries and some other countries around the world that do that.
Mhm.
I just don't believe in that redistribution of wealth. Especially if I done busted my butt to get it, then that's mine. But I do
Mhm.
agree we got to pay our taxes on it.
Yeah, but
Okay.
there was a whole movement that was going there. I actually was part of it when it was going on, and that was this notion that there need to be more equity, and it was called the Occupy movement, and that was going after the 1% because we do know that 99% are actually not the level of, say, an Elon
Hmm.
Musk or a Warren Buffett or a number of these other elite and all in that space. I was actually talking to somebody, and we were talking about space travel, and they were thinking that space travel is a wonderful thing and we can get up to space. And I'm wondering, and they gave me an answer that they think it'll be coming at some point or another, whether we're going to have an econo class, because you can even get some economy discounts on cruises, and we know cruises aren't cheap either. So I'm wondering, one, is it just going to be the rich folks going up to space all the time, or are we going to start having econo class trips up into space at some point? So
Well,
maybe instead of paying couple of million, maybe you're only paying 1,000 or two if you want to go up to Mars
no.
or whatever.
Put it this way, okay, on this SpaceX trip right now, I think it's $44 million per person.
Right,
Okay, so economy class would be 20 million. Okay.
right. Yeah, that would be the economy class, 20
Yeah, so we
million.
still gonna get priced out of it.
Yeah, we're gonna be priced out. We can't go. Me and you will not be going that
You
on that.
lying. I know I won't be, but I mean, I guess that's some of the perks of being rich. Okay, if you got that kind of money laying around, you go for it. Okay, you look at our society. Okay, and we can just take the sports industry. You know,
Hmm.
a lot of those guys that play basketball, football, baseball, track, soccer, whatever you name it, and females wouldn't be rich if not for their abilities to play sports.
Yeah, that's true.
Now we have NILs.
Right.
You
Name,
got
image, and likeness.
one young lady up here that goes to Sidwell Friends. She's a guard. She's going to be going to UCLA next year. Has an NIL in high school.
In high school.
In high school, it's going to pay her $1 million plus.
Wow.
Okay, now my idea was, and I thought this was going to happen when they were concerned about college students getting paid. I always said pay them a stipend, okay? Something maybe like $500 a week, $600 a week, maybe 30,000 a year. Just keep a little money in the pocket because these large colleges they do make that kind of money. I mean, I realize the HBCUs wouldn't be able to participate in there, and the money might be less. I never thought they would come out with NILs, okay?
Hmm.
Because you got guys in college making big money. Big money.
Oh yeah, they're making some major money, and
Yeah. You
they not.
know, but what about the other players that contribute to this guy's success? Okay. A quarterback can't be successful without a good offensive line.
Got to have that offensive line. Might need some good
Wide receivers.
wide receivers. I mean, you really have to feel sometimes for the position when it's a position that you are known for, you're doing
Yeah.
successful and everything. I actually felt for that kicker that it was actually on his team. I believe it was Buffalo, and he's had a amazing success kicking, but for whatever reason, the maybe it was the way that it was held, maybe it was the way that he
Mhm.
pulled it. It went wide right, if I remember correctly, and everything along those lines. And I'm sure his fans were sitting there going like, wait a minute, you kick on this field all the time. How dare
Hmm.
you miss on your home court and all in that space? But hey, that's the
Yeah.
way that as the old saying goes, the cookie crumbles sometimes and
Yeah.
all in that way. But yeah,
So I mean, you're gonna have your good days, you're gonna have your bad days. Don't get
definitely.
penalized for it. But the college, I mean, so now millionaires are being made out of things that we never thought could be possible to be a millionaire. Playing sports. You look at the contracts. I mean, we were talking about Kirk Cousins
Hmm.
and the money he stands to make about 235, $255 million over 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
Look at the basketball players, how much money they make.
They make tons of money, and there's no doubt about that, and
Yeah.
everything around those lines. And now everybody's getting all excited
Hmm.
about other ways that you can make money as well, because definitely you can make money doing some of these amazing things like with AI and AGI and all in that space. I heard that I was watching a commercial, might have been on my phone, where Mark Zuckerberg was talking about this generational or some quantum AI that he's putting out there that he is saying is tied into Bitcoins and us all making profits. And of course, we know he's going to be making some profits, Mr.
Hmm.
Musk. And I think Elon, I said Zuckerberg, but that's Elon Musk that was doing the quantum and everything. And then Zuckerberg is talking about some AI or AGI that he's doing as well. So it sounds like all these guys that got that money we were talking about are looking at ways that they can come up with new toys to play with, and maybe they'll make some money with their new toys.
But they got the ability. They have it. They can do it. But people love technology.
Oh yeah.
But look, it's not going to affect me because 10, 15 years now, if I'm still living, hopefully I'm somewhere else doing something, laying around,
Mhm.
being lazy, being retired. But these folks better wake up. AI is going to cost a lot of jobs.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and they
Yeah.
don't realize that they on the bandwagon for it and everything. A lot of these corporations are going to figure out how they can use AI to do plane reservations and things of that nature.
Mhm.
You're going to get rid of live voices, you know. So, hey, you better be careful for what you wish for.
Okay, so it's even impacting other countries. I'm seeing this article right now that's talking about how AI in healthcare is presenting big opportunities for Brazil, but further public debate and legislation are needed now. So they're saying that medicine and healthcare are already so immersed in
Hmm.
new digital technologies that we need to consider what is happening now. Terms such as telemedicine, artificial intelligence, and open health, which a few years ago might have seemed like something from science fiction, have become part of our everyday life. So the use of AI in health specifically is a vast field to be explored. It can improve everything from the time it takes to produce and deliver diagnosis to their accuracy, as the World Health Organization's first report on AI applications highlights. A study carried out by the International Research Center, CIPE, with the AC Car- Camargo Cancer Center in Sao Paulo clearly attests to the positive performance of AI in this area. The researchers used AI to identify statistical models capable of preventing HER2 subtype breast cancer in imaging scans of 311 women and the patient's response to treatment. The results were highly diagnostic. And in addition, AI can also help make health resource allocations more efficient and support tasks such as preparing for public health crisis, e.g., a pandemic. And at the individual use level, the use of this technology in wearables such as smartwatches can encourage patients' adherence to treatments, help prevent illness, and collect data more frequently. And I'm wondering if they collected all that data. Are they not giving the data maybe to other people at all in that space? So that's one of the things that people might be worried about, because definitely says the parliaments around the world are discussing legislation for artificial intelligence. The 2023 AI Index report, a survey by Stanford University in the United States, showed that dimensions of AI increased 6.5 times in the legislative processes of 81 countries. So it looks like countries are trying to figure out what to do. And apparently, Brazil has made changes and introduced innovations to existing legislation. A 2020 law authorized the use of telemedicine during the pandemic, and the authorization came as an emergency measure to deal with the COVID-19 global health crisis. And definitely that's something that's good maybe to use AI for. But I guess these countries are trying to figure out how to use the AI and regulate the AI and not have any issues with those regulations. So that's the issue: is how to regulate some of these things.
And you're gonna have to figure out how to regulate it in school too, because I asked one of my students to. Well, I made them all write me a paper on why it's so important to be respectful in the classroom to the teacher when the teacher is teaching. So he came. He had this eloquent piece, and I said, "Dude," I said to myself, this boy ain't wrote that. He's smart, but he ain't wrote it. So I read through, then I looked at the bottom. He left the footnote on there on what AI site he went to.
Oh wow!
So I was just, I said, Jabbar, I said, man, this is good stuff here, man. Good stuff, man. I said, you didn't use AI, did you? Oh no, Miss Kern, I didn't use AI. I didn't use AI. I said, let me tell you something. From now on, when you use AI, before you forward a paper or send something, make sure you don't have that footnote down that says, written and published by this certain AI company. You
No,
know.
that's right. He busted him. He busted the poor student and everything, and
Uh-huh.
rightfully so. And all of those, he deserved to be busted. I was
Yes.
gonna get to a world issue and everything because I know we still got a few more minutes to go on the
Hmm.
urban sentinel. And sometimes I know you talk about urban, world things even in your
Hmm.
magazine. But Russian President Vladimir Putin has said that the war in Ukraine is not the best right now. So maybe he's actually conceding because he says that it's not the best right now and suggests Russia is struggling to make any significant gains. The Russian president, speaking at a meeting of participants in some nationwide family contest on Tuesday, suggested he still believes southern Ukraine will join the common Russian space, but he acknowledged that the situation on the battlefield now is not the best and far from calm. So, according to the Russian state news agency TASS, Putin was talking about the eastern Donbass region and Novorossiya, which
Hmm.
translates to New Russia in particular. So that's a historical name for the southern third of Ukraine. So this is could be shocking words, and I don't know that Mr. Trump could even handle that because that's his buddy. But his buddy is saying
This
that
is
things
the
are
thing.
not going well.
It's winter time over there. It's cold, and both countries are having the same problem: how to restock and get resupplied. Here in the United States, Republicans are making sure and doing everything they can to hold up Biden's request for money for Ukraine.
Mhm.
Putin can't manufacture nothing else because that's why he went to Korea to see could he buy stuff from Korea. So, one thing you're gonna see Putin do is buy stuff from Korea and Iran to try to bolster his stockpiles again. Okay, now another thing, he can't get no men to fight.
Right.
He's running out of men. I mean, because Ukraine putting a whooping on him now.
Yeah, they definitely giving him
He's
a hard time.
lost a lot of men, and what's happening? The men who could escape Russia, the young guys, they have left. They have left, and they can't make them come back. They're not going to come back because they come back. They're either going to go onto the front line and get killed, or Putin going to kill them.
Yep.
One of the two things. So, uh, I think, believe me, I think it's nice when he goes to bed. He wish he had never jumped into that hornet's nest.
Say he wish that he never jumped into
He
that
just
hornet's nest.
should have left it alone.
Yeah, he probably definitely should have left it alone. Speaking of
Yeah.
leaving things alone, I was watching on TV and I'm trying to think of the name of it, but there's this new TV show. It's kind of supposed to be a game show, but it's featuring these comedians, and that's a woman named Tyler. I can't think of her last name and everything, but it's basically them kind of looking at various games that are going on in very hashtags. So it's very much social media. Like there was one that I was watching yesterday because it comes on late night right after Stephen Colbert and
Okay.
all along those lines. So it comes on right after Stephen Colbert and has these comedians that'll look at a hashtag or make their own hashtags and all in that space. So I was wondering if you had seen this this show that comes on
Well,
right after the Stephen Colbert show because Stephen Colbert has had some good guests. I was watching that
yeah.
he had Ruby Bridges on recently, who is the civil rights icon that integrated Arkansas when she was 6 years old, and then he had the brother because it's a brother that actually runs the Columbia Journalism School. So he had him
Mhm.
on yesterday and everything talking about ethics in journalism. And I did not even know that it was a brother that was running the Columbia Journalism School. And that's a major journalism school. And he's definitely running it. And he was talking about the notion that journalism still has ethics and still has objectivity. But unfortunately, some people have gotten away from that, and he even acknowledged that with some
Mhm.
of his folks like Fox and others. But I was just wondering your take on journalism and all in that space.
I think I agree with him. I think the people who are journalists now need to do a better job reporting the news. Okay,
Right.
and sometimes I get irritated at journalists, and I can see how individuals such as politicians and those can get upset at journalists because they bang the question on you 100 different ways. If you don't ask it, they keep on asking you. If a person doesn't answer your question, just leave it alone. And I think a lot of people get upset at the way they badger the person they're trying to interview or the person they
Right.
want to ask a question. And I think that's the one thing that you find with politicians and the other people they get so tired of that a journalist will beat them to death. Then when they give them the answer, they'll still quote the answer wrong. And I think another thing is pushing journalists to do the
Oscar nominations were announced today, and
Yep.
the story
what they
everyone is
like
talking about is the
is the
monumental
fact
snub
that
of Barbie director.
technology pushes them, okay?
Right.
Because what happens is everybody's trying to have that next headline on their website.
Yep.
And I think that's another thing that passes. So I think uh, the objectivity may still be there, but the way they get to it you know, is not working.
It's not working at all, and it's just kind of crazy what they're doing in that sense and all
Yeah.
along those lines. So you're sitting there going like, wait a minute, what are y'all doing? Why are
Hmm.
y'all doing that and everything in that way? So yeah, sometimes you sit there going like, I don't get it. Why y'all got this kind of attitude and why y'all can't do something a
Right.
little bit different in that
Hmm.
space? But yeah, you got some folks that just don't understand it and want to be doing some unusual things in that space.
Hmm.
And the show that I was trying to remember is literally called After Midnight, and there
Oh
is,
yeah. Hmm.
and like I said, they will play hashtag wars and a number of other things
Hmm.
in that space and all along those lines. So that's the one that I was trying to remember because it's a new show. It's only been on for about 2 months, and we'll see if it actually sticks around or if it goes the way of some of these other shows as well. But definitely, like I said, they were talking a hashtag war recently and everything along those lines. So maybe we can have a little bit of fun right now. I see we can come up with our own hashtag war. Maybe we'll do the same thing as the show did. So we'll show the show and then their idea of what a hashtag war is, and then maybe we'll have our own hashtag war right here on the Urban Sentinel. So this is what hashtag war is all
Okay.
about. All along those lines, so let's check it out, and then maybe me and you will have a hashtag war as well. But this one was called "Add a Man, Ruin a Movie."
Okay.
It's time for hashtag wars. Oscar nominations were announced today, and the story everyone is talking about is the monumental snub of Barbie director Greta Gerwig and Barbie herself, Margot Robbie. Yep. The blockbuster movie is all about feminism and feelings, and they nominate the man. This is why I always say men and women should not be in movies together. It just doesn't work. Men can be in men's stuff, and women can be in women's stuff. Everyone gets Magic Mike. So, because men can't stop bumming us out, tonight's hashtag is hashtag add a man, ruin a movie. Examples might be Chris Pratatouille or May December Kreischer. You guys get offended by some weird stuff. I think you're just remembering what May December was about and you got sad. I'm going to put 60 seconds on the clock and you'll buzz in with as many jokes as you can that fit tonight's topic. Go. Oh, Doug.
Little, whoa, men.
Josh.
A murder of Russell Crowe's.
Doug.
When Harry met Sal.
Let's go.
No Country for Gary Oldman.
Doug.
How Stellan Skarsgård got his groove back.
Josh.
Matthew McConaughey. Hey, it's fat out.
Let's go.
The 400 Rob Lowe's.
Josh.
Michael Cocaine Bear.
There it is. Doug.
Man of Steel Magnolias.
Josh.
Kevin Spacey Balls.
Oh, time is up. We have Josh now in the lead with a.
Any movies you want to ruin that way and everything? Because you can ruin.
No, I can't look. I can't think that fast, man. Shoot,
you can't think that fast.
I can't think that fast. But it seems like to be a good show. I wish I could come up with a couple ideas for a game show because these guys are making money.
They're making money on them game shows. There ain't no doubt about that. But I know a lot of people were upset that I guess Barbie got snubbed because those Oscars did come out and all in that space. But I was wondering your take on that because I know a couple of people that were snubbed and feeling that they should have been some honors. But there were some good movies that were in there, and I guess we'll see in I think it's March when the Oscars come out and everything. But that is something apparently. Oppenheimer, because a lot of people are still wondering about Oppenheimer and his words and everything. He got nominated for, or they got nominated for 13 Oscars and all in that space. So that is something that a lot of people are looking at. And there were some movies I had never heard of, like Poor Things, which is a feminist fantasy set in the steampunk world of mutants and male chauvinist pigs, which apparently earned 11 nominations. So I've never heard about this one. And The Killer of the Flower Moon, a historical crime drama about a vast conspiracy to rob the Osage nation of its oil wealth. Actually, I did hear about that because I know somebody was involved with that came on the network and everything. And it received 10 nominations. And both Oppenheimer's and Killers of the Flower Moon have drawn from painful chapters of American history. And they were recognized at a moment of political unrest and division in the country, which seems to give their dark subject matter an added resonance. But Barbie last year only box office hit, only got 8 nominations, even as she said in that clip. Greta Gerwig, the film director, and Margot Robbie, its star and producer, were both shut out. So no nomination for them and everything. But yeah, that one.
Well, the thing is, you got to realize people pay for those Oscars. Okay, and when I say that, the company makes the movies. You know, they push their people through advertising their people, propping them up, and doing whatever they can to get them nominated. Okay, now what they'll do now, they'll continue on the same campaign to try to get them to win an Oscar. You know, because it benefits them in the pocket to spend money to make money and everything. But I was surprised. I was surprised that Barbie, you know, not getting it. You know, that the lead actress didn't get nominated. You know, just like I was surprised with Color Purple. That Fantasia didn't get a nod as best actress. Granted, Fantasia isn't drama school trained, okay? But the girl put on a show in The Color Purple, okay? I know a lot of people don't agree with the theme behind The Color Purple or anything like that, but when you look at what Fantasia did as the actress, she did a great job.
Speaking of that, and speaking of a great job, and I know we're winding down and everything, but there was a lot of people, and speaking of Colbert, I was watching him on yesterday as well, and he had an amazing artist that some people did not like what he did because he went outside the box and didn't do his usual hip-hop. But I was actually impressed, and I was actually earlier today listening to some music of Roy Hargroves and some other jazz and blues artists here and everything, but I thought that Andre 3000 did good as a flute player, and I actually was impressed with his song about becoming a Panther, and it was definitely jazz and jazz inspired. I think he even gave a shout out to Rashawn Roland Kirk, so he might even be more knowledgeable about jazz and blues than people give him credit for. But I do know some hip hop, you know, people that are kind of like purists in their thoughts and everything that were not quite digging what Andre was doing. But I sometimes like it when artists decide to step out the box and do something unusual or different. But I just wanted your take on that because, like I said, I thought he did a good job.
Andre 3000, he's a very intelligent musician, okay? And he wears many different hats, and he's into different genres of music. I mean, he's always been. You know, so it doesn't surprise me. He was there playing a flute last night and rapping about, you know, the Black Panther Party and everything else, you know? I mean, it doesn't surprise me because he's very intelligent when it comes to music.
Yeah, he definitely knows his music. He even dropped some names. Like I said, he dropped Rashawn Roland Kirk's name. He dropped some other names that some people would be surprised that he was as aware of their music as he is, but he
Yeah.
definitely proved that he is definitely enriched in music and not just one genre and
That's
everything. He
right.
definitely is a student of music and
Mhm.
studies all kinds of sounds, and he even got a gift from Mr. Goldberg of a
Mhm.
different flute and all along those lines. So
Yeah.
it's good to see that in everything. So
Yeah,
definitely is.
he's good. He's good, you know. So before we close, I just want to say that Reverend Al, he was pretty. And Reverend Al said he didn't get no sleep last night because after he heard what his boy Uncle Tim did, he said he was very disappointed because he said they have talked about the racism that goes on in the country and everything else that goes on that affects the black community. And Tim has, and I heard other people say this too. And Tim has always been a person with an open mind and open ears and understanding what was going on. But boy, for him to come out and jump on that bandwagon with 45, I mean,
Like I said, he was kissing that ring left to right, and that was
he's that
definitely
ring in the ring.
the ring and the backside.
Mm-hmm.
Was gonna mention something else because I know a lot of people are concerned about it, and people need to do this on a regular basis. I'm probably
Mm-hmm.
due for one myself as well. But on this sad news, and definitely everybody that is a male, particularly males in our community and all along those lines, definitely get those prostates and other things checked because we do know that we just lost the next to the last of the lineage of Dr. King in terms of the immediate kids, because I think
Mm-hmm.
that the only one left now is Bernice, because Yolanda had already passed, I believe, and now Dexter King has passed as well. So I think the last
Yeah,
one.
the older boy is still living too.
Okay, so it was four of them total. It was
Yeah, it
four
was four of them told, and there's two.
Right.
Two left. Yeah, we do have to get that done and everything, And I'm concerned. I'm gonna have to go back to the doctor too because years ago I had enlarged prostate, but I always went to a urologist for my exam and everything, and that's what they recommend instead of letting your general practitioner do it. That you should go to a urologist and let them do the exam.
Right.
And so I had an large prostate, and I had mine shaved. Everything, but the guy said that I was listening to a doctor last night from over at Howard University, who's the chief of urology at Howard University. He was saying that don't take for granted that even if you have it shaved, you can't have problems down the road.
Right.
But with my general practitioner, every year with my blood work, he does a PSA test,
Right.
to see what's as far as the count is, and if the count starts moving higher, then you have cancer. Now I had a friend who died of prostate cancer years ago, and his number, him and I used to talk about it all the time. His number just one day just went out off the, just the needle just went right, okay.
Right.
And they, ran further tests and found out he had prostate cancer, but it was too late.
Too late. Right.
Yeah, so you gotta keep on stuff like that, man.
Gotta
We already
stay-
know it's a killer, it's a silent killer in the black community among black men. So you have to go out and take care of it.
Definitely have to do that on a regular basis.
Oh yeah, 'cause it will sneak up on you, okay? And definitely that's one of those cancers that'll sneak up on a man. And a lot of times it's too late.
Right.
A lot of times it's too late. So yeah.
Definitely get those checked and everything. And you're right, the two that are left are Martin Luther King III, which is the oldest son, and like I said, Bernice. So that is the two of the four. So now we've lost Dexter and Yolanda of the kids of Martin and Coretta Scott King.
Yeah, you talking about Yolanda, hers was heart disease.
Right.
And now her brother passes away with prostate cancer, so yeah, you gotta take care of your health, man. If you got insurance, even if you don't have insurance, get Obama insurance. Take care of your health.
Yep. You got some people that are still fighting that Obama insurance. They're thinking that it's a waste, or the Republicans are trying to attack it and thinking that it is hurting their economy. And I'm not saying that there aren't legitimate concerns that people have, but I think that it's better than what we have had before. So, like I said,
it might be a tad bit expensive, okay, depending on what you get, what package you get, but you need to have insurance, okay. If you not a position where you're working, you got company sponsored insurance where the rates are a little lower, you need to get insurance because you need to have it.
Yep, definitely got to get that insurance. It is
Yeah.
very important. Well, I know we'll be back next week, maybe on
Oh
Tuesday
yeah.
or Wednesday, and we'll see where we go. And I know you got some guests that you're going to line up and all along those lines.
Yeah. Line them up, see what I can line up.
Cool.
I ought to ask Uncle Tim if he want to be on the show.
Yeah, yeah. See if Mr. Scott wants to come on, and maybe he'll come on the show, or maybe we can get Nikki on the
Well,
show, or even Ben Carson. Maybe Ben Carson
oh,
wants to come and explain their attitudes and all of those lines. But you need to get who was y'all's mayor? I think he's still living, the one that was pushing some of the legalization of certain drugs in Baltimore, and I think that he was there some time back and all along those lines. And I don't know if he's still living, but it was one of your mayors there in Baltimore.
I had to look that one up. But if I brought Uncle Tim on here, Uncle Tim he'll probably down here.
Say he'd be for it or not for it.
Yeah, he'd be cut up. But no, I wouldn't go deep on. I just want to know why he does what he does, says what he says. That's my whole thing. Because I wouldn't mind sitting down and shooting it off with Candace Owens.
Candace Owens.
Just not to bash her or anything. Because like I said, I don't care what you believe in. 'Cause some people gonna believe in what they want to believe in, and that's it. You can't change them. But I just want to know what makes them tick and what makes them feel like they got to go against the grain in such a hard way. Now I know she makes a killing there. I know she can get about $75,000 for giving a speech. Okay, so
She can get how much for making a speech?
75.
That's a whole lot of money. Maybe we'll get your other guy on and everything, because that would be an interesting one for you if you got the young ladies, the ones that were so big into Trump in the early days. Maybe we can get
One of them passed away.
Yeah, that's true. One of them did pass.
Yeah, one of them passed away. I don't know what the other one is now. She's probably still going for Trump, and everything. But I got a friend who's a top Republican. I might get him on here one night just to shoot the bull, because we talk straight. Him and I, we talk straight because we're friends and everything. At one time I didn't like him, but when I was on the bench, we had an opening come up on the bench, and because the Democrats didn't do what I told them to do to fill it with another Democrat, the Republicans did what they needed to do quickly and fill it in. So I always had this negative thing about him because of what I heard in the community. Okay, but after we started working together in the court system, I got to respect him. He got to respect me because both was in politics, and we learn how to accept each other's ideas and the whys and why we do what we do, why we feel what we feel. And he's, I call him a super Republican because he's always with one of them, and dude is rich, he has money, but good person to talk to. He thinks he knows everything as far as inside politics of the Republican Party.
So we have to get him on the show so he can share some of
I might ask him.
Ask him, see if he'll show up and everything. I was talking on the World Edition earlier today about AOC, because AOC was actually praising Tim Burchett, I think is his name, because apparently she was saying that she grew up in the faith walk and definitely was grown up in around church leaders, and thinks that sometimes the Democrats have gotten away from the moral standings and all along those lines. And she, as she put it, the civil rights movement was a religious movement, and she was even talking about how this guy that is her moral opposite, that they still get along, because apparently he's into UFOs and maybe she's into that as well, and apparently he dresses eccentrically. So she was saying that sometimes you can talk to people that are opposite ends of the spectrum. You don't always have to be at their throat the way that we've been doing it lately.
Yeah, and you learn a lot about people when you're able to talk to them personally. You see another side of them. Like I said, my buddy, I'm not gonna be able to change him. He's Republican. He drinks Republican. He'll die Republican. But I respect what he says. Sometimes he goes wrong.
That's what it's all about. And the brother I was trying to remember, and I thought he was a mayor. Maybe he was only a senator or a city councilman, but I know his name began with a K. I thought it was like Questley or something like that. But I know he was.
You said Kwame.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. That's the one I was.
Kwame Nkrumah, congressman.
Yeah.
He's a congressman.
Yeah. That's the one I was thinking about because I know he was involved with some of the things around things to do with the legalization of marijuana and other kind of drug stuff. So maybe we can get him on the show as well. But that's the one I was trying to remember.
Yeah. But there's some black Republicans out there, Now, if I had Lee Elder on here, I probably would just be cussing him out on here. He'd probably get off the show.
Would you cuss him out?
Yeah, because sometimes you get some black Republicans just go too far to the right. Okay.
We got one of those here in North Carolina. I mean, you probably have a be yelling and screaming if you had Mark Robinson on the other side of the screen.
Well, I've been reaching there and just pull Mark Robinson through like they do in cartoons. I just pull him right through the screen,
So right through the screen, give him a beat down.
Yeah, because he needs it, Because, I mean, when you start talking about your own people and disowning your own people and you disown the fact that you're black, you got issues.
Yeah, the man got some serious issues. Ain't no doubt about that.
Yeah. Okay, man, let's go. Everyone, thank you for joining us now on Urban Sentinel Live Show. We're going to see you next week, same time, same place. Hopefully on Tuesday night this week, next week at 8 o'clock p.m. Until then, be safe, take care, and I'll see you on the other side. Take care, Mark. Thanks for being here with me, man.
All right, good chatting with you. We're going to get on out of here.
Okay, now. Good night.
Good night.